The hospital room was quiet except for the rhythmic beeping of monitors. The sterile white walls, the dim lighting, and the overwhelming scent of antiseptic wrapped around the man sitting by the hospital bed. His name was Daniel Hart, a powerful CEO known for his sharp decisions and cold demeanor in the boardroom. But here, he was just a father, helpless, weary, and heartbroken. His 9-year-old son, Michael, had slipped into a coma after a traumatic brain injury sustained in a freak accident at school. Doctors had done everything. Neurologists from around the country had reviewed Michael's scans. All came to the same conclusion: little chance of recovery. The boy's condition was stable but unresponsive. Day after day, Daniel sat by his son's side, whispering stories, holding his small hand, and praying to a God he wasn't sure he believed in anymore. He hadn't left the hospital in weeks. His expensive suits were replaced by worn-out sweaters, his beard untrimmed, eyes sunken. The world outside didn't matter. Meetings, profits, deadlines, all faded into irrelevance. His son, his only family, lay silent, and the silence was louder than anything he'd ever known. It was during one of those late nights, around 2 a.m., when a soft knock came at the hospital room door. Daniel barely turned his head. He expected a nurse checking vitals or bringing in new medication. But what entered was someone he hadn't seen before. She was young, maybe in her early 20s, with gentle eyes and a calm presence that seemed to radiate warmth in the cold room. She wore the standard nurse's uniform, but there was something different about her. Something he couldn't quite explain. "I'm Anna," she said softly. "I'm covering the night shift. I hope you don't mind." Daniel nodded, barely acknowledging her. She walked over to Michael's bedside and checked his IV, gently brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. Then she turned to Daniel, her voice barely above a whisper, "I can wake your son." Daniel stared at her. Was this a cruel joke? Was she one of those people who gave false hope to grieving families? "I'm sorry," he said, his voice rough. She didn't flinch. "I've seen cases like this before. Not many, but a few. And sometimes, it's not medicine that brings them back." "What are you saying?" he asked, a mix of disbelief and irritation. "I'm saying," she said slowly, "that maybe what your son needs isn't more machines or more doctors. Maybe he just needs to be reminded why he should come back." Daniel's eyes welled with tears. "He knows I'm here. Every day, I talk to him. I tell him stories. I beg him to wake up." "I know," she said, "but maybe he needs something more personal." She pulled a small music box from her pocket. It was old, scratched, and well-loved. She wound it up, and a soft, delicate melody filled the room. "This belonged to my brother," she explained. "He was in a coma for 63 days after a car crash. I played this for him every day. And one day, he opened his eyes." Daniel was still skeptical, but something about the sincerity in her voice made him pause. Anna leaned in close to Michael's ear and whispered, "You're safe, little one. Your dad is waiting. Come back to him." Then she stepped aside and left the music box playing. That night, Daniel didn't sleep. He stayed up, listening to the melody over and over, watching his son's face, hoping for the slightest twitch, a flutter of eyelids, anything. But nothing happened. Morning came, and Anna was gone. Another nurse came in to take her place. "Where's Anna?" Daniel asked. The nurse looked confused. "Anna, the young nurse from last night. There's no Anna scheduled for night shifts. You must be mistaken." Daniel was stunned. She said her name was Anna. She brought a music box. She said she could wake my son. The nurse looked concerned but gently said, "Maybe you were dreaming. You've barely slept in days." Daniel didn't respond. Was he imagining things? He picked up the music box still sitting on the table. It was real. The melody was real. He wasn't dreaming. Over the next few days, Daniel played the music box for Michael every morning and every night. He began telling stories about the times they laughed together, the dreams they had. He talked about the vacation they planned, the dog Michael always wanted, the bedtime stories, and silly jokes. Then, one morning, as sunlight streamed through the hospital window, something extraordinary happened. Michael's fingers moved. At first, Daniel thought it was a muscle twitch. But then his eyelids fluttered. His breathing shifted. And then, he opened his eyes. Tears streamed down Daniel's face as he shouted for help. Doctors rushed in, astonished. No one had expected this. Michael was awake, weak but responsive. It was nothing short of a miracle. Weeks passed, and Michael slowly recovered. Physical therapy, speech sessions, cognitive tests, he aced them all. The doctors called it unexplainable. They said it was one of those rare cases where the brain rewired itself. But Daniel knew better. He searched for Anna, asking every nurse, every doctor. No one had heard of her. He showed them the music box. No one recognized it. One day, while walking in the hospital garden with Michael in a wheelchair, Daniel passed by the hospital chapel. On a whim, he stepped inside. There, on a small table near the candles, was a photo of a young woman in a nurse's uniform. Underneath, a plaque read, "In loving memory of Anna Lewis, RN, a compassionate soul who brought comfort and miracles to many before leaving this world too soon." Daniel's heart skipped a beat. It was her. He knelt down beside the photo, his hands trembling. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice cracking. "Thank you for giving me my son back." Michael looked up at his father. "Daddy, who are you talking to?" Daniel smiled. "An angel, buddy. Someone who reminded us that love is stronger than anything. Even science." From that day forward, Daniel's life changed. He stepped back from his company, choosing instead to focus on raising his son, living simply, and giving back. He donated millions to children's hospitals and anonymously funded therapy programs for comatose children. But he always kept the music box. It sat on his bedside table, a gentle reminder of the night a whisper from a nurse, and a song, brought his son back to life. He never saw Anna again. But every time he looked into his son's eyes, he felt her presence. And that, to him, was the greatest miracle of all.